How to take meaningful photos while traveling even as a beginner. Level B2, Upper Intermediate. When you travel, you take photos for a simple reason. You don't want to forget. A photo is a small time machine. It brings back a smell, a street sound, a feeling of warm air, the taste of coffee, the quiet moment before sunset. But many beginners come home and feel disappointed. They have hundreds of photos, yet only a few feel special. Most images look like proof that they were there, not like memories with meaning. The good news is that meaningful travel photography is not about expensive cameras. It is about attention. It's about learning to see. A phone is enough to start. A simple camera is enough. What matters most is the way you choose your moments. To take meaningful photos, you need to stop chasing the postcard image and start telling small stories. A postcard photo is usually clean and obvious. A famous building in the center, a perfect wide shot, bright colors, no messy details. It can be beautiful, but it often feels empty because it could be taken by anyone in 5 seconds. A meaningful photo feels personal. It shows what you noticed. It shows what mattered to you. It can include imperfection, mood, and small human details. So, how do you move from tourist proof to personal story, especially as a beginner? First, change the goal. Don't aim for beautiful. Aim for honest. A meaningful photo often answers a simple question. What did this place feel like? Not only what did it look like. A market is not only colorful fruit. It is hands exchanging money, steam rising from food, plastic chairs, a tired seller, a child watching, a bright lamp in the evening. A beach is not only a blue horizon. It is wet footprints, salty hair, a couple holding sandals, a lonely boat, a shadow of a palm tree. A city is not only famous towers. It is reflections in puddles, neon signs, old wires, motorcycles, people waiting, rain on glass. When you start thinking like this, you naturally begin to look for layers, not only for landmarks. One of the easiest beginner methods is to shoot in sets. Instead of taking one photo and moving on, take 3 or 5 images that describe one moment. For example, if you visit a cafe, you can take a wider shot of the space, a medium shot of the table and window, and a close-up of the cup and hands. If you visit a temple, you can take a wide shot of the entrance, a detail of a statue, a close-up of incense smoke, and a photo of people praying. Later, these sets feel like a story, not a single random frame. This is powerful because travel memories are not single images, they are sequences. Your brain remembers a walk, a conversation, a smell, and then the view. Sets imitate that natural memory structure. Another important idea is light. Beginners often focus only on the subject, but light is the real painter. The same street can look boring at noon and magical at sunset. The same building can look flat in strong daylight and deep in soft morning light. If you want more meaningful photos, learn to respect the time of day. The easiest rule is simple. Early morning and late afternoon usually give the best light. The sun is lower, shadows are longer, and colors feel warmer. At midday, light is harsh and creates ugly shadows on faces. If you must shoot at midday, look for shade, use backlight, or focus on details and textures. But don't become a slave to golden hour. Meaningful photos can exist in rain, fog, and even ugly light. The key is to use the mood. Rain can give reflections and dramatic skies. Fog can create mystery. Harsh sun can create strong graphic shadows. Instead of fighting the weather, treat it as part of the story of your trip. Composition is another tool, but you don't need complex rules. Beginners can start with one simple habit. Choose your frame edges carefully. Look at the borders of your image. Are there random objects cutting into the scene? Is a pole growing out of someone's head? Is the background messy? Many weak photos are weak because the edges are careless. The subject might be interesting, but the frame is noisy. Before you press the shutter, take 1 second and scan the edges. This 1 second improves photos dramatically. Also, use foreground and background. Beginners often shoot everything from eye level with a wide view. Try to add layers, something close, something in the middle, something far. For example, shoot a street through a doorway, shoot a temple through leaves, shoot a person with a market in the background. Layers create depth, and depth makes an image feel real. Now let's talk about people, because people create meaning. Many travel photos feel empty because they have no human presence, but beginners are often shy. They don't want to photograph strangers. They fear conflict. That is normal. You don't need to become aggressive or rude. You can photograph people respectfully in many ways. You can shoot from behind, showing a silhouette. You can photograph hands working. You can capture small interactions. Someone buying food, someone waiting for a train, someone fixing a bike. You can include people as small figures in a wider scene, showing scale. Even one human element can change the emotional feeling of a photo. It makes the place feel lived in. If you do want to take closer portraits, the best rule is simple. Ask, smile, and accept no. In many places, people are happy to be photographed, especially if you show respect. You can even share the photo on your phone after, which creates connection. But you should never take photos in situations where a person looks vulnerable or uncomfortable. A meaningful photo should not come at the cost of someone's dignity. Another beginner mistake is taking too many photos and not being present. It is easy to live through the camera. You walk, you see something, and you instantly raise the phone. You take 10 shots. You move on. Later, you have photos, but you don't remember the feeling. A better approach is to separate moments. Sometimes you photograph, sometimes you just look. Give yourself permission to not shoot. In fact, the less you shoot, the more intentional you become. And intention is the heart of meaning. One practical habit is to create a small theme for each day. Not a long list, just a simple focus. For example, today I will look for reflections. Or today I will photograph doors and windows. Or today I will capture quiet moments. This theme acts like a filter. It trains your eye and it gives your photo collection a consistent mood. Later, your trip photos feel like a coherent story, not a random folder. Themes also reduce stress. Many beginners feel pressure to capture everything. That pressure kills creativity. When you choose a theme, you accept that you will miss some things, and that's okay. You are collecting a specific perspective, not documenting the whole world. Now let's talk about color and mood. A meaningful photo often has one clear emotional feeling: warm and friendly, cold and quiet, busy and loud, calm and minimal. You can support mood through simple choices. If a scene feels calm, try a simpler frame with fewer objects. If a scene feels chaotic, include the chaos and let it fill the frame. Unquote. If the scene is about warmth, include warm light and close distance. If it is about loneliness, include empty space. The idea is not to edit reality, but to show what you felt. Editing can help too, even basic editing on a phone. Many beginners over-edit. Too much saturation, too much contrast, too much sharpness. Meaning usually looks better with gentle editing. Adjust exposure, bring back highlights, lift shadows a bit, slightly increase contrast, and keep colors natural. Your goal is to make the photo feel like the moment, not like a reclame poster. If you want a simple rule, if the photo looks loud and unnatural, reduce the effect. Calm editing usually ages better. That sounds abstract, so let's make it practical. A photo becomes meaningful when it answers one of these quiet questions. Why did I stop here? What did I feel? What did I notice that others might ignore? When you take a picture only because something is famous, the photo is often correct but empty. When you take a picture because something touched you, the photo carries your point of view. This is why you can take meaningful photos even in a boring place. Meaningful photography is not a search for perfect locations. It's a way of paying attention in any location. One strong technique is to photograph transitions, not only highlights. Beginners usually photograph only the big moments, the main temple, the main beach, the main skyline. But travel is also made of small in-between scenes: waiting for a bus, buying water, walking through a quiet street at noon, a hotel corridor, a window view in the morning, street light reflections at night. These moments are often emotionally closer to real travel than the postcard view. If you want your travel album to feel like a memory, not a brochure, include transitions. They create narrative glue. They tell the viewer, this is how the day actually felt. Another technique is to photograph signs of life rather than objects. A building is an object, but a building with laundry hanging, a bicycle leaning against a wall, and a person opening a door becomes life. A beach is an object, but a beach with wet sandals, a towel in the wind, and footprints becomes a story. A plate of food is an object, but a plate of food with chopsticks in motion and steam rising becomes a moment. As a beginner, you can train yourself to look for 3 kinds of signs: traces, gestures, and contrasts. Traces are marks left by people, footprints, worn steps, scratched paint, stickers, old posters, repaired objects, coffee cups, empty chairs. Traces tell you that time passed there. Gestures are small actions: hands paying, someone fixing hair, a waiter carrying plates, a child pointing, an old person resting. Gestures bring emotion because they show intention. Contrasts are differences in one frame: old and new, quiet and loud, luxury and simple, traditional and modern. Travel is full of contrasts, and the brain loves them. Contrasts make photos feel real because the world is not uniform. You don't need to make a list in your head every time. Just remember the idea. Don't only photograph what is there. Photograph what is happening. Now let's talk about landmarks, because beginners often feel they must photograph the famous thing directly. But the most original travel photos often show the landmark indirectly. If you photograph the Eiffel Tower exactly like everyone else, your image becomes a copy of a million images. But if you photograph it as a reflection in a window, or framed between buildings, or seen through a crowd, it becomes your experience, not just the object. So if you visit a famous place, try to take one classic photo for memory, and then challenge yourself to take one personal photo. The personal photo can be a shadow of the landmark, a detailed texture, a person reacting, a reflection, a silhouette at sunset, a photo from an unusual angle, or the landmark seen from far away as part of daily life. This small rule protects you from regret, "I didn't get the main shot," while still pushing you toward originality. Another important skill is patience. Most beginners shoot too quickly. They walk, see something, take a photo, move on. But meaning often appears when you wait. If you stay in one spot for 2 minutes, the scene changes. A person enters the frame, a scooter passes, a cloud covers the sun, a bird flies, the mood shifts. Professional street photographers often work like this. They choose a good background and then wait for the right moment inside it. You can do the same, even with a phone. Find a frame that looks interesting and then wait for life to complete it. Patience also helps with fear. If you are shy about photographing people, you can stand at a respectful distance and wait. You don't need to chase someone. You simply allow the scene to happen. Your photo becomes calmer and more natural. Now let's talk about distance. Many beginner photos are weak because the photographer stands too far away. They see something interesting, but they take it from the same safe distance as always. The result is a photo full of empty space and small subjects. Meaningful photos often require a choice: step closer or step back with purpose. If the subject is emotion, step closer. If the subject is atmosphere and scale, step back. But don't stay in the middle by habit. The middle often looks like nothing. If you photograph food, get close enough to see texture. If you photograph a person, include their gesture clearly. If you photograph a street, decide if you want the street as a pattern or one specific moment. Distance is your voice. It tells the viewer what matters. Sound strange? Think about it. A close-up says, "This detail is important." A wide shot says, "This world is important." A medium shot says, "This is normal life." Each choice is a different message. Meaning grows when your choices are intentional. Now we should talk about yourself, because beginners often forget one of the best subjects: your own presence. I don't mean constant selfies. I mean small signs that you were there. Your shadow on the sand, your hand holding a ticket, your reflection in a mirror, your shoes on a train floor, your coffee cup by the window. These small personal elements make photos feel like your travel, not just a place on Earth. This is especially helpful if you travel alone. Without people you know in the photos, the album can feel like a documentary. Adding small personal traces turns it into a diary. Another big topic is respectful photography, because meaning should not come from taking advantage of others. In some tourist areas, people take photos of locals like they are exotic objects. That creates beautiful images sometimes, but it can be ethically ugly. Meaningful photography should include respect. If someone is working, struggling, or looks vulnerable, be careful. Ask yourself, if I were them, would I want this photo taken? But if the answer is no, don't shoot. At the same time, you don't need to be afraid of photographing real life. The key is intention. If you show people with dignity, your photos become better and more human. If you treat people like props, your photos become empty, even if they look crisivami. Now let's move to the part after the trip, choosing and organizing photos. This is where meaning is either created or destroyed. Most beginners keep everything. They come home with 800 images and feel overwhelmed. Then they never do anything with them. The result is lost memories. A better approach is to create a small final set. This is like editing a film. A film is not every moment. It is the best moments in the right order. You can do the same. Here is a simple workflow. After the trip, give yourself one calm session. Scroll and quickly favorite any photo that gives you a feeling. Don't analyze too much. Just pick what pulls you. Then, from those favorites, choose a smaller set, maybe 20 or 30 for a short trip or 50 for a longer trip. Try to include variety, a few wide shots, a few close-ups, a few people moments, a few details, a few transitions. When you build this set, ask, if someone saw only these photos, would they feel the journey? If yes, you did it. If not, you might have too many similar shots or too many landmarks with no daily life. You can also arrange your photos like a story, beginning, middle, end. Start with arrival, airport, road, first street. Then show exploration, markets, temples, food, people. Then show a peak moment, a special place, a sunset, a festival. Then show the ending, last morning, suitcase, empty room, plane window. This narrative order turns a photo set into an emotional memory. Editing is the final touch. Keep it consistent. If you edit one photo with very warm tones and another with Holodnia tones, the set feels random. Choose a simple style and apply it gently. Consistency makes your work look more professional, even if you are a beginner. And now the most important truth. You improve fast by doing small challenges, not by buying gear. Pick one skill each trip. One trip you focus on light, another trip you focus on people. Another trip you focus on reflections. Another trip you focus on telling the story of one day in 10 photos. Each challenge trains your eye. After a few trips, your photos will change dramatically. So, how do you take meaningful photos while traveling, even as a beginner? You slow down, you watch, You choose. You capture not only what is famous, but what is real. You look for small stories. You include transitions. You respect people. And you edit your memories into a clear set that feels like a journey. In the end, a meaningful travel photo is not a perfect image. It is an honest one. It helps you remember not only where you went, but who you were when you were there.